The fabric of reality screamed. Dr. Stephen Strange felt it first, a wrongness that made the eye of Agamotto burn cold against his chest. He was mid-spell, sealing a minor dimensional breach in the skies above Manhattan, when the universe itself seemed to flinch. The Sanctum Sanctorum's wards erupted in cascading alarms, mystical symbols blazing across every surface. "Wang!" Strange shouted, his hands moving through defensive configurations. "What in the name of the Vishanti?" He didn't finish. The sky tore open. Not the clean geometric precision of a sling ring portal, not the swirling chaos of a wormhole. This was violence, reality ripping like wet paper, bleeding light and energy that registered on no spectrum Strange recognized. The breach expanded across 15 city blocks, a wound in space that howled with impossible colors. And through it they fell. 7 figures plummeted from the tier, trailing auras of golden light that made the afternoon sun look dim. They weren't falling so much as crashing, each one hitting different points across Midtown Manhattan, with impacts that registered on seismographs from Queens to New Jersey. The largest, a figure in orange and blue, hit first, cratering through the roof of a parking structure near Times Square. The shockwave shattered windows for 3 blocks. Car alarms screamed. People ran, screaming about an invasion, about the end of the world, about another damn superhuman incident that was going to raise their insurance premiums. Tony Stark was in a lunch meeting when his arc reactor started spinning up on its own. "JRVIS what?" "Sir, detecting 7 distinct energy signatures appearing across Manhattan. Power readings are inconsistent with known classifications." The AI's typically smooth voice carried an edge of uncertainty. "Recommend immediate armor deployment." Inconsistent how? Tony was already moving, his meeting forgotten, the briefcase in his hand unfolding into armored gauntlets. "The energy doesn't register as gamma radiation, cosmic power, mutant X-gene activity, or any cataloged form of enhanced physiology. It's as if..." JARVIS paused, and Tony had programmed that hesitation himself, knew it meant the AI was processing something that violated its parameters. "Sir, it's as if they're generating their own power source. Internal, unlimited, and growing." "Growing?" Tony's faceplate snapped into place. "How fast?" "Exponentially." The first figure extracted himself from the parking structure debris, and a news helicopter caught it live. The man stood easily 7 feet tall, wearing armor that looked ceremonial, flowing cape, pointed shoulder guards, white and gold. But it was his aura that dominated the footage, purple energy crackling around him like restrained lightning, eyes that glowed with barely contained violence. "KAKAROT," the word boomed across Manhattan, amplified by sheer chi pressure. Vegeta, prince of all Saiyans, looked around at the city surrounding him with pure disdain. "Where are we? This doesn't look like hell, though with these pathetic power levels." He trailed off, sensing something that made his eyes narrow. On the Avengers helicarrier, every monitor lit up simultaneously. "Director Fury," Agent Hill's voice was crisp despite the chaos erupting across her screens. "We have 7 unidentified enhanced individuals appearing across Manhattan. No aircraft detected, no teleportation signatures, they just appeared." Nick Fury strode toward the main display, his one eye taking in the tactical disaster unfolding. "Please tell me we've got a classification." "That's the problem, sir. We don't. They're not in any database, SHIELD, Interpol, known enhanced registry, nothing. And the power readings..." She pulled up an energy graph that spiked beyond the monitor's ability to display. They're off the charts. Every single one of them is reading at or above Thor-level threat potential. At or above, Fury's jaw tightened. How many above? Hill highlighted 2 signatures. These 2. The energy output is comparable to what we recorded from the Hulk in Johannesburg. And sir, they're still powering up. Fury grabbed the comm. Get me every available Avenger, now. In Times Square, Goku pulled himself from the crater he'd created, orange gi torn and dusty but grinning despite the confusion. People were screaming, running. He could feel their terror, small, frightened Kai signatures scattering like birds. It reminded him uncomfortably of when he'd first arrived on Nank, except these people were completely powerless. Fragile. Hey, everyone, it's okay, he waved, trying to project friendliness. It didn't help. His presence alone, the barely restrained ocean of Kai that was his base form, was making people's instincts scream danger. I'm not gonna hurt anybody. Does anyone know where? Freeze. 30 NYPD officers had formed a perimeter, weapons drawn, hands shaking but holding steady. Goku blinked at the strange metal tubes pointed at him. Put your hands on your head. Do it now. Oh, sure, Goku complied, still smiling. Sorry about the building. Is this Earth? It looks like Earth, but something feels wrong. The energy here is all weird and I can't sense Bulma or Chiche anywhere. One officer's finger twitched. The gunshot cracked across the square. The bullet hit Goku square in the forehead and pancaked, the flattened metal falling harmlessly to the ground. Goku rubbed the spot, more surprised than hurt. Ow, hey, what was that for? 30 officers opened fire. It was like shooting a mountain. Bullets sparked off Goku's skin, shredded his gi, ricocheted in dangerous directions. Goku raised his hands, not in surrender but in concern. Someone was going to get hurt by those bouncing projectiles. In a movement too fast for the officers to track, he blurred, appearing behind them, gently pushing weapons toward the ground. Please stop, you're gonna hurt somebody. That was when the first Avenger arrived. Iron Man came in hot, repulsors charged, JARVIS feeding him tactical data that made less sense with every passing second. The armor's sensors were registering the orange-clad figure as human. Standard biology, 2 arms, 2 legs, normal vital signs. Except his cellular structure was impossibly dense. His energy output was astronomical, and he just tanked a full magazine's worth of gunfire without a scratch. Unidentified enhanced individual. Tony's external speakers projected authority he didn't quite feel. Stand down and identify yourself. You're in violation of approximately 17 different laws, starting with destruction of private property and unlicensed superhuman activity. Goku turned and his face lit up. Hey, are you a robot? That's so cool. Are you friendly? You feel kinda friendly, but the armor's making it hard to tell. I'm Iron Man, and friendly depends entirely on whether you start answering questions. Tony's HUD was going haywire. The energy signature was stable now, but the readings suggested this one individual could power New York City for a decade. Starting with, what are you, and why did you just invade New York? Invade? Goku looked genuinely confused. I didn't invade. We were trying to stop a dimensional rift back home. Bulma said something about the Dragon Balls interacting with some weird energy signature, and then everything went white and, he looked around, the enormity of the situation finally dawning. We're not on our Earth, are we? Before Tony could respond, a green-skinned figure descended from the sky, white cape billowing. Piccolo landed beside Goku, arms crossed, expression severe. "Goku, we have a problem." "Yeah, I noticed. Where are the others?" Scattered across this city. Gohan landed near some kind of tower with a large A on it. Vegeta's power is spiking, he's angry, and Goku, Piccolo's voice dropped. "This universe's energy is wrong. I can't sense anything properly. No Kai signatures beyond us. These people, this whole world, they're like blanks." Tony's threat assessment just escalated. 2 of them now. And they were communicating in English, but using terms JARVIS couldn't parse. Dimensional rift suggested they weren't lying about being from another reality, which opened an entire new can of worms. JARVIS, get Strange on the line, and someone find out what's happening with those other signatures. Already here, Stark. Dr. Strange materialized in a shower of golden sparks, the cloak of levitation spreading wide, defensive mandalas spinning at his fingertips. His eyes, normally calm, controlled, were wide with something Tony had rarely seen in the Sorcerer Supreme: genuine alarm. "These beings," Strange said without preamble, "just tore through dimensional barriers that have held since the dawn of this reality. The damage to the fabric of space-time is catastrophic, and they're radiating an energy I cannot classify, cannot bind, cannot even properly perceive with mystical senses." "Okay, that's not ominous at all," Tony muttered. Goku scratched his head. Sorry about the barriers. We didn't mean to break anything, if you tell us how to fix it." An explosion cut him off. 3 blocks north, a golden aura erupted skyward. Vegeta had found something to fight. The Saiyan Prince hovered above Madison Avenue, energy crackling around his clenched fists, facing down a figure in a purple and green suit. The Beetle, a small-time villain who'd been mid-robbery, floated in his powered armor, weapons systems targeting this arrogant newcomer. "I don't know who you think you are," the Beetle's electronically modulated voice crackled, "but this is MY score. Back off before." Vegeta moved. One moment he was 50 feet away. The next, his fist was buried in the Beetle's chest plate, the armor crumpling like foil. The villain rocketed backward, crashing through 3 buildings before embedding in the side of a 4th. Vegeta hadn't even transformed, hadn't powered up beyond his base state. He'd simply moved. "Pathetic," Vegeta spat. "Is this the best this world offers?" That was when Thor arrived. The god of thunder descended in a crash of lightning, Mjolnir spinning, eyes glowing with the Odin force. The 2 warriors locked eyes, Vegeta in his Saiyan armor, Thor in his Asgardian mail, and something primal passed between them. Recognition. Challenge. "I am Thor Odinson, Prince of Asgard, defender of Midgard." Thunder rumbled with each word. "You have attacked this city, harmed its people. Stand down or face the might of." Finally, Vegeta's lips curled into a savage grin. Someone who might actually be worth killing. Back in Times Square, Goku's head snapped toward the confrontation. "Oh no, Vegeta, don't." He vanished, just gone, moving faster than Tony's sensors could track. Dr. Strange's hands moved instinctively, mystical chains erupting to restrain, but caught only air. Where did he? Goku reappeared between Thor and Vegeta, hands raised placatingly. Guys, we don't need to fight. Vegeta, these people aren't our enemies." "Speak for yourself, Kakarot." Vegeta's power flared higher, golden lightning beginning to crackle through the purple. "I don't care what world we're on, if he wants a battle." "I accept," Thor said, Mjolnir spinning faster. The sky darkened. Lightning, real lightning, not Vegeta's Kai began to strike around Thor. Rain started falling, defying the afternoon's clear weather. The god of thunder was preparing for war. Goku felt it then, dozens of new signatures approaching. Not Kai, but something else. Power, vast and varied. Heroes responding to the threat. This world's defenders coming to protect their home from invaders. From across the city, 5 more Z-fighters were converging, drawn by the spike in Vegeta's power. Gohan in his mystic form, aura blazing white. Krillin and Android 18, slower but determined. Piccolo already airborne, cape discarded for speed. Trunks in Super Saiyan, sword drawn. And from the other direction, the Avengers. Captain America leading SHIELD tactical teams. Black Widow and Hawkeye on approach vectors. The Hulk, gamma green and roaring, bounding across rooftops. In the distance, the distinctive energy signature of the Scarlet Witch, reality already beginning to warp around her fingers. Doctor Strange saw it all, the mystical threads of fate converging on this moment. Hundreds of futures branching and colliding. In 90% of them, this ended in catastrophic battle. Heroes against heroes, misunderstanding spiraling into violence. But in a handful, just a precious few, he saw something else. Alliance, understanding. A threat so vast it would require both worlds' champions to face. And behind it all, watching from a throne of stone floating in the void between galaxies, a mad titan smiled. Thanos had felt the dimensional breach, had sensed these new powers entering this reality. And he was very, very interested. Tony's HUD was painting targets, calculating force deployment, running probability matrices. Every instinct said fight, contain, neutralize the threat. But something else, maybe the same intuition that made him a genius, said that would be the worst possible choice. Stand down, his voice cut through the comms. All Avengers weapons cold, do not engage. Stark, are you insane? That was fury. We have unknown enhanced threatening the city. No, Tony watched Goku, really watched him. Saw the concern in his eyes, the protective way he'd positioned himself between Vegeta and Thor, the genuine confusion and desire to help. We have dimensional refugees who just crashed into our reality and have no idea where they are. And if we start a fight with beings who can apparently shrug off bullets and match Thor. He didn't need to finish. The destruction would be apocalyptic. Goku felt the tension, the razor's edge between peace and violence. He did what he always did when things got complicated. He smiled. Look, I know this is really weird, but I'm Son Goku and we're really not here to cause trouble. We just want to figure out what happened and get home. So maybe we could all just talk. I'm actually pretty hungry and talking works way better over food. For a long moment, no one moved. Thunder rumbled, energy crackled, 2 realities held their breath. Then Captain America's voice, calm and commanding, cut through the tension. Stand down, Avengers, let's talk. Steve Rogers stepped forward, shield lowered but ready, looking at Goku with the same instinct Tony had felt. But you're going to answer a lot of questions, and your friend there, he nodded at Vegeta, needs to power down. Now. Vegeta snorted but surprisingly let his aura dim. This world's warriors are soft. Fine, Kakarot, we'll do it your way, for now. As the Z-fighters gathered, as the Avengers formed a wary perimeter, as SHIELD scrambled to make sense of the day's events, none of them noticed the small dimensional echo. A ripple in space, quickly sealed. Someone had been watching, recording, analyzing. In Latveria, Victor Von Doom studied the data his mystical sensors had collected. 7 beings of impossible power, wielding energy that followed no known laws, and they had no idea how this universe worked. How exploitable. The day's crisis was diffused. The introductions would come, the alliances would form. But the real story, the convergence that would shake both universes to their foundations, was only beginning. The Avengers Tower conference room had never felt so small. Goku sat at the massive table, eyes wide as he stared at the plate of sandwiches Tony had ordered. "These are amazing. What do you call this?" He held up a club sandwich that was already half devoured. "A sandwich," Tony said flatly, watching this impossibly powerful being demolish his third one in as many minutes. "You just put stuff between bread and eat it. That's genius. Chichai's gonna love this." Goku's enthusiasm was so genuine, so childlike, that it created a strange cognitive dissonance. This was the same person who tanked automatic weapons fire without flinching. Across the table, Vegeta sat with arms crossed, refusing the offered food with a scowl. "Kakarot, stop embarrassing yourself. We're not here for a cultural exchange." "But Vegeta, when are we gonna get another chance to try food from a whole different dimension?" Steve Rogers watched the exchange with the particular wariness of a soldier who'd seen too many conflicts start from misunderstandings. "So let me make sure I understand. You're from another Earth, a completely separate reality, and you ended up here because of an accident involving Dragon Balls." Piccolo, standing against the wall with arms folded, nodded. "Wish-granting artifacts from our universe. Bulma was attempting to use them to seal a dimensional rift that had been growing near West City. Something went wrong. The energy backlash tore through reality itself." Wish-granting artifacts. Bruce Banner leaned forward, scientific curiosity overriding caution. Still in human form, deliberately so, given the hair-trigger tensions, he pulled up a holographic display. "That violates several fundamental laws of thermodynamics. The energy required to alter reality based on verbal intention alone would be—" "Impossible, we know," Gohan interrupted gently. The young man had transformed back to his base form, but even depowered, his politeness carried an edge of competence. "We've heard it before from the smartest people in our universe too, but they have worked for thousands of years." Reed Richards materialized on the conference room screen, calling in from the Baxter building. "Fascinating. And this Kai energy you mentioned, it's biological, self-generated." "Every living thing has Kai," Goku explained between bites. "You just gotta learn to feel it and control it. Once you do, you can fly, shoot energy blasts, sense other people even if they're on the other side of the planet." He paused, frowning. "Except here, I can't sense anybody. It's like you're all empty. No offense." The Avengers exchanged glances. On the helicarrier, Nick Fury listened to the conversation with growing concern. An energy source shield couldn't detect, couldn't measure, couldn't counter. That made these 7 individuals, refugees or not, walking strategic nightmares. "None taken," Tony said dryly. "Though I'm filing away empty for my therapist to unpack later. JARVIS analysis. The energy they emit doesn't register on electromagnetic spectrum, gravitational sensors, or quantum field detectors," the AI reported. "It exists, clearly, we've seen the effects, but it's as if it occupies a wavelength our instruments weren't designed to perceive." "Magic," Dr. Strange interjected, having remained silent until now. He'd been studying the Z-Fighters with mystical sight, and what he'd seen disturbed him profoundly. And yet not magic. Their power source is internal, biological as they claim, but the sheer magnitude. He focused on Goku. May I? Goku shrugged. Sure, I guess. Strange gestured, mystical symbols appearing around Goku's form. The diagnostic spell, one he'd used thousands of times to assess magical threats, shattered the moment it touched Goku's aura. Strange's eyes widened. Your baseline energy output in your current, relaxed state exceeds the ambient magical energy of this entire city, and you're suppressing it, heavily. Strange's voice carried a note of something between awe and alarm. If you released your full power... Oh, I wouldn't do that here. Goku waved his hands quickly. Way too many people around. When me and Vegeta spar at full power back home, we gotta go somewhere deserted. Otherwise, the shockwaves alone would destroy everything for hundreds of miles. The room went very quiet. Hundreds of miles, Natasha Romanoff repeated, her spy's instinct for threat assessment screaming. You're saying a sparring match between you two could devastate an area the size of a small country? Well, yeah, Vegeta said with obvious pride. We've destroyed planets during serious fights, multiple planets. He's not exaggerating, Piccolo added, seeing the disbelief on some faces. Goku and Vegeta have both achieved power levels that put them on par with gods, literal gods, the kind that can destroy solar systems if they're not careful. Steve's hand tightened on the table. And you're telling us this why? To intimidate us? No, Goku looked genuinely distressed. I'm telling you so you know we're being really, really careful. I'd never hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. We're heroes back home. We protect Earth, our Earth, from threats all the time. Space tyrants, androids, magical demons, evil gods, universe-destroying entities. It's kind of what we do. Tony pulled up the damage reports from their arrival. 7 impact craters, millions in property damage, hundreds of injuries from flying debris, and the panic. You understand why we're having trouble buying the hero angle, right? You crashed into our dimension and nearly started a war in Midtown Manhattan. And we're sorry about that, Gohan leaned forward earnestly. Really, we are. But we didn't choose to come here. We're just as confused as you are. All we want is to find a way home. That, at least, rang true to everyone in the room. Which brings us to the problem, Reed Richards said, pulling up dimensional scans. The breach you created when you arrived has destabilized the barriers between realities. We're detecting microfractures across the dimensional membrane. Nothing catastrophic yet, but if another surge of energy hits those weak points, other things could come through, Strange finished grimly. Things from your universe, or worse, things from the spaces between universes that should never exist in ordered reality. Trunks spoke up for the first time, his hand unconsciously moving to the sword at his back. How long until you conceal it? With dimensional magic, weeks, possibly months of careful work, Strange said. The damage is extensive, and one wrong move could shatter the barrier entirely. What if we helped? Goku offered. I mean, we got here somehow. Maybe we can figure out how to get back and that'll fix the hole. Bruce Banner pulled up an energy comparison chart, overlaying the breach data with the Kai signatures from the Z-Fighters. Actually, that might work. The breach is radiating the same type of energy you all emit. If we could generate a precise enough pulse, match the original frequency but inverted, we might be able to seal it from this side. How long would that take? Vegeta demanded. Months of study minimum, Reed admitted. We'd need to fully understand your energy signature, run countless simulations, build containment. A proximity alarm cut him off. Tony's screens lit up with incoming alerts. JARVIS report. Sir, detecting multiple unauthorized entry attempts to Avengers tower systems. Firewalls holding, but the sophistication suggests. The lights flickered. Every screen in the conference room went dark for precisely 3 seconds. When they came back, a single image dominated every display. A metal mask, green cloak, eyes that burned with cold intelligence. Greetings, Avengers, and welcome to our reality, dimensional travelers. Victor Von Doom's voice carried the absolute confidence of a man who held all the cards. I trust you are enjoying Stark's hospitality, though I suspect he hasn't mentioned the most relevant detail of your situation. Doom, Tony's voice went hard. Whatever you think you're doing. I am doing you a service, Stark. These beings register zero presence on any superhuman database. No legal identity, no citizenship, no rights under any international law. Doom's words landed like hammer blows. They are, in the eyes of this world's governments, illegal aliens in the most literal sense. Unregistered enhanced individuals with planet-destroying capabilities. Steve felt his stomach drop. He knew where this was going. The Sokovia Accords mandate immediate containment of all unregistered enhanced individuals pending full security assessment. Doom's image smiled, though the mask remained immobile. I have already forwarded my analysis to the United Nations Security Council. They are convening as we speak. You son of a, Tony started. I am offering an alternative. Doom cut him off smoothly. Latveria has no such restrictive policies. We welcome enhanced individuals of all origins. I could provide asylum, resources, and most importantly, he gestured, and dimensional equations appeared frighteningly accurate, a means to return home. My research into dimensional theory is unparalleled. I could have you back to your universe within weeks. Goku tilted his head. That sounds great, so why do I get the feeling you're a bad guy? Despite everything, several Avengers suppressed smiles. Because he is, a new voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned. A young man in red and blue stood there, mask pulled back to reveal Peter Parker's face. He was breathing hard, having clearly web-slung across half of Manhattan at top speed. Sorry I'm late, Mr. Stark. Got held up by, Peter stopped, finally seeing the Z-fighters. His spider sense, which had been screaming since he entered the building, suddenly made sense. Whoa, you guys are. Wow, that's a lot of power, like scary amounts. Not that you seem scary, you seem nice. Well, most of you. The pointy-haired guy seems kinda intense. Spider-Man, Steve said with the patience of someone used to the young hero's rambling. Why are you here? Right, so I was patrolling Queens when these weird energy signatures showed up, and then Dr. Doom's face appeared on every screen in Times Square, and he was saying something about dimensional refugees, and I thought, hey, the Avengers probably need to know about this. But JARVIS said you already knew, but then I figured I should come anyway because. Peter, Tony's voice was gentle but firm. Breathe. Peter took a breath, then looked directly at Goku. Dr. Doom is lying. I mean, not about the Sokovia Accords, those are real and they're a huge pain, but about helping you. He doesn't do anything unless it benefits him, and people who trust him usually end up regretting it. Goku studied Peter with the same instinct that had served him through decades of battle. This kid was telling the truth. More than that, Goku could feel it in the boy's energy, even if he couldn't sense it properly. Pure heart, genuine heroism. What's your name, kid? Spider-Man, I mean Peter Parker. Peter webbed himself to the ceiling, hanging upside down in that way that always made Steve slightly motion sick. And you are? Son Goku, nice to meet you. Goku's grin was infectious. You remind me of Gohan when he was younger, same energy. I'm standing right here, Dad, Gohan muttered. Doom's image leaned forward. How touching, the child hero and the dimensional refugee. But sentimentality won't change reality. The authorities are already mobilizing. S.H.I.E.L.D. has likely already drafted containment protocols. The choice is simple: accept my generous offer or spend the foreseeable future in a holding facility while bureaucrats debate your fate. Fury's voice crackled over the comms, speaking only to the Avengers. He's not wrong. The Security Council is already screaming for containment. I can buy you maybe 6 hours before they demand we bring these people in. Vegeta stood abruptly, chair scraping back. I've heard enough. Kakarot, we're leaving. These politics are beneath us. Leaving to go where? Natasha asked quietly. You don't know this world. You have no resources, no allies, no legal standing. And the moment you display those power levels in public again, every government and organization on the planet will come after you. Let them try. Vegeta's aura flickered dangerously. Vegeta, don't. Goku's voice carried an uncharacteristic firmness. She's right. We can't just fight our way out of this. These people haven't done anything wrong. They're just scared. We show up, crash through their city, and now we're refusing to follow their rules. He turned to Steve, meeting the super soldier's eyes with surprising intensity. You're in charge here, right? What do you think we should do? Steve Rogers, who'd faced down Hydra, Ultron, and Thanos himself, found himself genuinely uncertain. These beings could probably take on the entire Avengers roster and win, but Goku was asking his opinion, choosing to respect authority he could easily ignore. I think, Steve said carefully, that Dr. Doom is trying to manipulate this situation for his own gain, and I think the bureaucrats pushing for containment are afraid of what they don't understand. He stood, meeting Goku's gaze levelly. But I also think you've just shown more restraint and good faith than most enhanced individuals do when they first gain power. You're choosing to talk instead of fight. That means something. So what's your play, Cap? Tony asked. We vouch for them. Steve's voice carried the certainty of command. The Avengers take responsibility. They stay here in the tower while we work on getting them home. We introduce them to how this world works, and in exchange, they help us if threats emerge that need their particular skill set. The Security Council will never approve that, Fury growled. Then we don't ask for approval, Tony said, an edge of defiant billionaire creeping into his voice. Avengers Tower is private property. They're our guests. And unless someone wants to try forcibly removing beings who casually destroy planets, they can file their complaints with my legal team. Doom's image actually laughed. Bold, stark, foolish but bold, very well, keep your new pets. But when the consequences come, and they will, remember that Latveria's offer stands. The screens went dark. For a long moment, everyone sat in silence. Then Peter, still hanging from the ceiling, raised his hand. So, does this mean we're all gonna be roommates? Because I have so many questions. Like, can you really destroy planets? And what's a Saiyan? And is that tail real? He pointed at Goku. Because that is so cool and also raises a lot of biological questions. Parker, Tony sighed. Shut up. Right, shutting up, but seriously, the tail thing. Despite the tension, despite the cosmic implications, despite everything, Goku laughed. It was such a pure, genuine sound that it cut through the room's anxiety like sunlight through clouds. I like this kid, Goku announced. He can show us around, You know this city, right, Peter?" Peter's eyes lit up behind his mask. "Do I know New York? I was born here. I can show you everything. The best pizza places, the Met, the Statue of Liberty. Although actually that might be weird because you're kind of aliens, so maybe seeing a monument to freedom while you're technically illegal immigrants has some uncomfortable optics." Peter. This time it was Pepper Potts, appearing in the doorway with the long-suffering expression of someone who managed both Tony Stark and Avengers Tower. "Maybe start with something simple, like how not to break any more buildings." "I can do that." Peter shot a web to swing down, missed, and ended up tangled in his own webbing. "Okay, first lesson. Even experienced heroes mess up sometimes." Piccolo actually smiled. Just barely, but it was there. As the meeting broke up, as plans were made and protocols established, as Peter began an enthusiastic, if chaotic, introduction to Earth 616, no one noticed the small mystical sensor that dissolved in the corner. Doctor Strange had caught it, of course, had been monitoring it the entire meeting. But he said nothing, because he recognized the signature. Camertage had been watching. The Ancient One herself had seen everything. And in the dimensional space between seconds, Wong appeared beside Strange. "The Ancient One requests your presence, immediately." Strange nodded, already knowing why. The Z-Fighters weren't the only things that had noticed the dimensional breach. Something else was coming through. Something vast and hungry and wearing the smell of death like a crown. But for now, in Avengers Tower, Goku was learning about pizza from an overexcited Spiderman. Vegeta was grudgingly accepting a tour of Tony's workshop, and Gohan was discussing quantum mechanics with Bruce Banner. For now, dimensional refugees and Earth's mightiest heroes were finding common ground. The storm gathering on the horizon could wait. At least for tonight. 3 days later, the fragile peace shattered. Peter Parker had taken to his role as cultural ambassador with characteristic enthusiasm, which meant Goku now knew the location of every good restaurant in Queens, the difference between Marvel and DC Comics. Wait, so there are asterisk other superheroes that don't exist here. That's so weird. And why you couldn't just fly everywhere in a city? People get nervous, Mr. Goku. Also, the FAA has regulations. They were mid-swing, Goku floating alongside Peter as the young hero web-slung between buildings, when both of them felt it. For Peter, it was his spider sense exploding like a migraine. For Goku, it was something else, a Kai signature. Faint, distorted by the dimensional barrier, but unmistakably from his universe. "Something's wrong," they said simultaneously. The sky over Central Park tore open. Not like when the Z-Fighters had arrived, no catastrophic ripping of reality. This was surgical, precise, a doorway carved with malicious intent. And through it came something that made every hero in New York reach for their weapons. The creature stood 15 feet tall, scaled and armored, with 3 faces that screamed in harmony. Its aura, visible even to those who couldn't sense Kai, rippled with malevolent purple energy. A demon from Universe 7's hell, something that should never have escaped its dimensional prison. It had followed the Z-Fighters' trail through the breach. "Mortals," the demon's voice shook windows across 3 blocks. "I smell the SAIYANS. Show yourselves so that I might." Goku appeared in front of it, arms crossed, expression disappointed. "Really? You guys followed us here? I thought hell was supposed to keep you locked up." The demon's 3 faces focused on Goku, and recognition sparked in 6 eyes. "You, Son Goku, the barrier between worlds weakened when you fell through. Now we are free to. Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there. Goku cracked his knuckles. This isn't your world to destroy. Go back where you came from or I'll send you back myself. The demon laughed, and the sound curdled milk in refrigerators across the Upper West Side. Fool, in this realm you cannot. Goku moved. One instant he was standing 50 feet away. The next, his fist connected with the demon's central face with a sound like a thunderclap. The creature rocketed backward, crashing through trees, over the reservoir, and into the side of a building that groaned but held. Peter, still web-slinging to catch up, could only stare. Holy crap! The Avengers arrived in waves. Iron Man first, repulsors charged. Then Captain America with a SHIELD tactical team. The Quinjet carrying Natasha, Clint, and a very annoyed Bruce Banner who was trying very hard not to Hulk out. Goku, stand down, Steve's voice carried over the chaos. Let us contain. The demon erupted from the rubble, all three mouths opening wide. Energy gathered, not Kai, but something older, fouler. Hellfire that could burn souls. Perish. The blast screamed toward Goku, toward Peter, toward the civilians still fleeing the park. It was the kind of attack that should have incinerated everything in a quarter-mile radius. Goku caught it, just reached out and grabbed the Hellfire blast with his bare hands, Kai flaring to contain it. For a moment, the Z-Fighter held concentrated demonic energy that radiated heat intense enough to melt steel. Then he compressed it, squeezed it down to nothing, and let the dissipated energy scatter harmlessly into the atmosphere. That was rude, Goku said flatly. Now I'm actually mad. His aura exploded outward, golden light that turned afternoon into noon. His hair stood on end, shifting from black to brilliant gold. Lightning crackled around his form as he transformed, and the sheer pressure of his Super Saiyan energy made the air feel thick, heavy, hard to breathe. Tony's HUD went haywire. JARVIS, what am I looking at? Sir, his power output just increased by a factor of 50, and it's still climbing. Across the city, Vegeta felt the transformation and smirked. About time, Kakarot. The demon charged, claws extended, mouth screaming. Goku didn't dodge. He met the charge head-on, his fist moving too fast for cameras to track. The impact created a shockwave that shattered every window in Central Park's perimeter, sent civilians tumbling, and made the Avengers stagger. When the dust cleared, Goku stood over the demon's broken form, golden aura still blazing but controlled now. Precise. I warned you, he said quietly. This world has enough problems, it doesn't need yours too. He raised 2 fingers to his forehead, instant transmission technique, and vanished. When he reappeared a second later, the demon was gone. Send him back through the breach, Goku explained to the stunned heroes. Piccolo and Gohan are sealing that particular hole from the other side. Should keep more of them from following. Steve lowered his shield slowly. Goku, what was that thing? Just a demon, low-level really. Back home, Gohan could have handled it without even transforming. Goku powered down, hair shifting back to black, golden aura fatting. Sorry about the windows, I'll help pay for those. You just teleported, Bruce said, scientist brain immediately latching onto the implications. Instantaneous transmission across dimensional barriers. Yeah, it's pretty handy, Goku grinned. I can go anywhere I can sense Kai, or anywhere I've been before, even across dimensions apparently, as long as the barrier's thin enough. Natasha's spy instincts were screaming. How many of those demons are there? In Universe 7's hell, millions probably, but most aren't strong enough to break through dimensional barriers. The really dangerous ones are sealed deeper. Goku's expression grew more serious. But if the breach we made is still leaking and things from my universe can get through, then things from other universes can too. Strange's voice came from behind them. The Sorcerer Supreme materialized with Wang, both looking grim. I've been monitoring the dimensional membrane. That demon came through a microfracture, one of hundreds that opened when you arrived. We've been sealing them as fast as we can, but it's like trying to patch a dam with band-aids. How bad? Tony asked. Bad enough that the Ancient One herself is intervening. Wang gestured, and a portal opened. She requests the presence of all Z-Fighters and senior Avengers, immediately. Camouflage was not what Goku expected. The mystical sanctuary hung in a space between spaces, a monastery that existed in Nepal, and yet somehow nowhere at all. Ancient architecture blended with impossible geometry, stairs that went up but somehow led down, windows that showed different dimensions depending on viewing angle. This is so cool. Goku was practically vibrating with curiosity. The energy here is completely different. Is this magic? It feels like magic. But also not magic. Vegeta, are you seeing this? I see it, Kakarot, Vegeta growled, uncomfortable in the mystical space. Stop gawking like a fool. The Ancient One sat in meditation at the chamber's center, bald head serene, eyes closed. But when she spoke, her voice resonated with power that made even Goku pay attention. Welcome, warriors of Universe 7. She opened her eyes, revealing depths that had witnessed the birth and death of galaxies. I am the Ancient One, guardian of Earth's dimensional barriers and keeper of mystic knowledge spanning centuries. You knew we were from Universe 7? Gohan asked, surprised. I know many things. She stood, robes flowing despite the complete absence of wind. I know that you arrived through a catastrophic breach caused by desperate magic in your reality colliding with the space stone's energy in ours. I know that your universe operates under different fundamental laws, Kai instead of cosmic power, martial prowess instead of technological evolution. And I know that your presence here has attracted attention from forces that should never have noticed this reality. Strange stepped forward. Ancient One, the demon, was merely a symptom, she gestured, and the air filled with images, dimensional fractures spreading like cracks in glass, each one bleeding energy in different colors. The membrane between realities is failing, not just between your universe and ours, but between ours and others. The barriers that separate the multiverse are weakening. A new image appeared, and everyone in the room went cold. It showed a throne floating in space, and sitting on that throne, watching Earth with patient inevitability, was Thanos. The Mad Titan has sensed the dimensional instability, the Ancient One continued. He believes the fractures can be exploited, that he can use them to access realities where infinity stones are more abundant, where his goal of universal genocide could be achieved more efficiently. That's insane, Tony said, even for Thanos. He's already insane, Natasha pointed out. That's kind of his thing. Goku studied the image of Thanos' warrior instinct assessing the threat. He feels strong, really strong, but his energy is wrong, corrupted by something dark. His obsession with death herself, the Ancient One confirmed. But that is not the only threat gathering. More images appeared, other beings, other forces. Your arrival has created a beacon across dimensional barriers. Others are coming. Some curious, some opportunistic, some actively malevolent. One image made Piccolo stiffen. That's, the Namekian's voice was tight. That looks like Frieza. Not Frieza, the Ancient One corrected. A Frieza, from a different branch of the multiverse where he won, where he destroyed all the Saiyans and claimed the Dragon Balls for himself. The dimensional fractures are creating bridges between parallel realities as well as separate universes. Vegeta's hands clenched. If that bastard comes here, we'll fight him together, Steve said firmly. But first, we need to understand what we're dealing with. Ancient One, can you seal the breaches? Not alone. The damage is too extensive, spread across too many dimensional layers. She looked directly at Goku. But there may be another way. The energy that caused the breach, your Kai, could also seal it. If we could generate a precise enough pulse of that energy, matched to the exact frequency of the original breach but inverted, we could close it from this side. Reed Richards finished, his holographic form appearing via Stark technology. I've been working on the calculations. With the Ancient One's mystical knowledge and our technological capabilities, we could build a device too. An explosion rocked Camertage. Alarms, mystical and mundane, screamed in harmony. The Ancient One's eyes snapped to a viewing portal that showed New York City, where a building was collapsing, green energy crackling around its foundation. No, Tony's voice was hollow. Not there, not the Baxter building. The image zoomed in, showing Dr. Doom's armored form standing in the wreckage, energy crackling around his hands. And beside him, contained in mystical circles, were three figures: Reed Richards, Susan Storm, and Johnny Storm. Ben Grimm. The thing was down, buried under rubble that would take even his strength minutes to dig out from. People of New York, Doom's voice echoed across every speaker in the city. For too long, you have placed your trust in reckless heroes who invite disaster. The dimensional refugees prove this. Their very presence threatens reality itself, yet the Avengers harbor them like pets. Goku's hands clenched. He's using us as an excuse. Latveria offers order, stability, and most importantly, Doom gestured to the captured Fantastic Four, the power to protect you from threats your so-called heroes cannot comprehend. Surrender the dimensional refugees to my custody, and I will ensure they are safely returned to their reality. Refuse, and New York will learn the price of misplaced loyalty. The transmission cut out. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Vegeta started laughing, a harsh, bitter sound. Finally, someone worth fighting. This isn't funny, Vegeta, Gohan said sharply. He's taken hostages because of us. So we take them back. Vegeta's eyes gleamed, simple. It's a trap, Natasha said. Doom doesn't make moves like this unless he's accounted for every variable. Then we spring the trap carefully, Steve said, already shifting into tactical mode. Tony, what are we looking at? Doom's upgraded since our last encounter. The energy readings from the Baxter building suggest he's incorporated something new into his armor. Something that's resonating with. Tony's face went pale. Oh, that son of a bitch. He's integrated samples from the demon's energy. He's using interdimensional power as a weapon. Strange stepped through a portal, face grim. It's worse than that. He didn't just capture the demon's essence. He's been studying the Z-Fighters since they arrived. Every scan, every sensor reading, every moment they've been in public, he's been collecting data. To what end? The Ancient One asked, though her expression suggested she already knew. To replicate it. Strange pulled up mystical readings that showed Doom's armor glowing with faint traces of Kai-like energy. He can't generate it naturally, but he's found a way to simulate it, temporarily. Enough to fight us on even terms, Piccolo finished darkly. Goku's expression had gone serious in a way the Avengers had rarely seen. No smile, no enthusiasm, just the cold assessment of a warrior who'd faced tyrants before. He hurt people because we're here. That makes this our responsibility. No, Steve's voice was firm. It makes it our responsibility together. You didn't ask to come here. Doom made his choice. Now we respond as a team. Cap's right, Tony said, armor already beginning to assemble around him. We've got the home field advantage, and we've got something Doom doesn't account for. What's that? Peter asked from where he'd been silent, watching everything unfold. Tony grinned behind his faceplate. He thinks your weapons were too soft to use properly. He has no idea you're people who choose to be heroes. The Ancient One raised her hand. Before you go, understand this. Doom is merely the immediate threat. The true danger is the dimensional instability. Every display of power, every battle, every surge of energy, it all tears at the barriers further. If you fight Doom at full strength, the fractures will spread faster, Gohan said, understanding immediately. We could win the battle and doom both universes. Precisely. The Ancient One looked at each of them in turn. You must fight carefully. Precisely. No transformations beyond what is absolutely necessary. No planet-destroying techniques. You must defeat Doom while causing minimal dimensional stress. Vegeta scoffed, fighting with one hand tied behind our backs. Typical. Can you do it? Steve asked simply. Goku met his eyes, and in that moment Steve saw what Tony and Peter had already recognized. The soul of a true hero, regardless of universe. Yeah, Goku said quietly. We can do it. Won't even need to go Super Saiyan 2. Then let's go save the Fantastic Four, Tony said, and teach Dr. Doom why you don't mess with Earth's heroes. Any Earth's heroes. As portals opened, as teams assembled, as plans formed with the desperate speed of heroes who knew time was running out, none of them noticed the small fluctuation in the dimensional barriers. In space, Thanos watched the gathering conflict with satisfaction. Heroes distracted by heroes. Perfect. His forces were already moving. And in the spaces between dimensions, something else stirred. Something vast and hungry that had been sealed away for eons. The fractures were calling to it, showing it a way back into reality. The Fantastic Four were just the opening move. The real war was about to begin. The Baxter Building stood as a testament to human ambition, 40 stories of cutting-edge technology and scientific achievement. Now, encased in crackling green energy and Doom's mystical shields, it had become a fortress. Multiple force fields detected, JARVIS reported as the Quinjets circled at a safe distance. Combination of technological and mystical barriers. The energy signature matches Doom's previous work but amplified. He's drawing power from somewhere. The dimensional fractures, Strange said from where he hovered outside the jet, cloak of levitation billowing. He's tapping into the bleeding energy between realities, clever and catastrophically reckless. Goku floated beside him, studying the building with a warrior's eye. Even in his base form, he could feel the wrongness of Doom's stolen power, Kai twisted and corrupted, forced through technology that was never meant to channel it. I can break through those shields, he offered, and announce our arrival while causing a dimensional rupture that could tear Manhattan in half, Strange countered. We need subtlety. I don't do subtle, Vegeta growled from the Quinjet's open bay door. Kakarot and I go in, destroy Doom, retrieve the hostages. Simple. Except for the part where Doom has prepared specifically for you, Natasha pointed out, reviewing tactical data on her tablet. He's been studying your fighting patterns for 3 days. Every spar with Thor, every training session Tony recorded, every instinctive movement Peter observed. Doom's analyzed it all. Peter, hanging from the Quinjet's sailing, raised his hand. So we don't fight the way he expects. Mr. Goku, you said you used to be a martial arts teacher, right? Still am, technically, Goku said. Though most of my students can't keep up once I start teaching the advanced stuff. What if we teach *U? Peter's enthusiasm was infectious. I mean, you know how to fight in your universe, but this is our universe. We've got different tactics, different strategies, different ways of being heroes. Steve leaned forward, catching on. He's right. Doom expects overwhelming power and direct confrontation. That's how Saiyans fight. It's in every combat report we have. So we give him something else. Coordinated team tactics, Clint said, already knocking an arrow. Hit him from angles he can't predict with abilities he hasn't accounted for. Tony pulled up a holographic schematic of the building. JARVIS has been mapping Doom's sensor network. He's got full coverage of external approaches, but there are gaps. The ventilation system, for one. He's shielded it against conventional infiltration, but he can't shield against someone who can shrink. Bruce finished and pressed his communication device. Scott, you getting this? Ant-Man's voice crackled through. Way ahead of you. Hope and I can be there in 5 minutes. But even if we get inside, Doom's armor is probably sealed against subatomic intrusion. It is. Reed Richards' voice joined the channel, weak, strained, but alive. The scientist had managed to activate a hidden communication device in the wreckage. He's adapted my dimensional stabilizers, used them to seal his armor against quantum-level attacks. Sue and Johnny are trapped in mystical bindings. I'm contained in a force field that's draining my elastic abilities. He's neutralized our powers with disturbing efficiency. Reed, how many hostages? Steve asked. Just us. He evacuated the building's other occupants before attacking. Whatever Doom's planning, he doesn't want unnecessary casualties. A pause. Which means he's confident he can achieve his goals without them. Piccolo had been silent, but now he spoke up. Goku, remember when we fought Raditz? Goku's eyes widened. Oh yeah, you mean. The full Nelson technique. You held Raditz while I charged the special beam cannon. Piccolo's expression was grim. Doom's powerful, but he's still primarily human under that armor. If someone could restrain him, even for a few seconds. I could remove the armor, Tony said immediately. JARVIS has been analyzing its power signatures. If I can get a direct connection to his systems, I can override his controls. But I'd need 10, maybe 15 seconds of complete access. Doom won't give you 15 seconds, Natasha said flatly. He will if he's focused on something else. Gohan had been quiet, but now he floated closer to the planning group. Dad and I could provide a distraction. Fight him the way he expects. Overwhelming power, direct attacks. While he's countering us, the rest of you execute the real plan. Steve studied the young half-Saiyan. You're volunteering to be bait. We've done it before. Gohan's mild-mannered demeanor hid steel. Against enemies much stronger than Doom. No offense to your villain, he added quickly. None taken, Tony muttered. Though I'm filing away stronger than Doom for my anxiety dreams. There's still the hostage problem, Clint pointed out. The moment we engage, Doom could execute them. Strange had been silent, hands moving through mystical calculations. Now he looked up. Not if we remove them from the equation first. The mystical bindings he's using are sophisticated, but they're anchored to his consciousness. If I can get close enough, I can redirect that anchor, make him think he's still controlling them while we extract the real targets. An illusion. Susan Storm's voice joined the channel, barely a whisper but present. Dr. Strange, his sensors will detect any conventional mystical working. Good thing this isn't conventional. Strange's smile was sharp. He's using stolen Kai to power his shields. That same energy will mask my spell work if I weave it correctly. He'll be looking for my magic signature, not realizing I'm hiding it in his own power emissions. The plan came together with the practiced efficiency of heroes who'd coordinated through countless crises. Ant-Man and Wasp would infiltrate through the ventilation system. Strange would create the illusion. Goku and Gohan would provide the distraction. And when Doom was fully engaged, Tony would strike. "What about me?" Peter asked. "And the others?" Steve pulled up positions on the tactical display. "Spiderman, you're with Natasha and Clint on perimeter control. Doom might have backup plans, usually does. You shut down anything he tries to activate. Piccolo, Trunks, your reserve firepower. If this goes sideways and we need overwhelming force despite the dimensional risks, you're our contingency." "And me?" Vegeta's voice was deceptively calm. "You," Steve said carefully, "are our insurance policy. If Doom has something we haven't accounted for, and he usually does, you're the one who can respond instantly with enough power to end it. But Vegeta," Steve's voice hardened, "you hold back until absolutely necessary. This isn't about proving you're stronger, it's about saving lives." For a long moment, Vegeta said nothing. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. "Fine, but when this is over, Kakarot and I are going to have words about fighting with restraint." "Looking forward to it." Goku grinned, and just like that, the tension broke. "Avengers," Steve's voice carried the weight of command, and Z-Fighters, let's move. The attack came from 3 directions simultaneously. Ant-Man and Wasp, shrunk to subatomic size, slipped through microscopic gaps in Doom's ventilation shields. Strange materialized in the building's mystical blind spot, a convergence of ley lines that Doom had fortified but left accessible, never imagining someone could weave spells through his own power signature. And Goku and Gohan simply flew through the front wall. The barrier resisted for exactly half a second before Goku's controlled Kai burst, precisely calibrated to look overwhelming, but actually leave the dimensional membrane intact, punched through. They entered the building's main atrium in a shower of debris and golden light. Doom was waiting. Right on schedule, Saiyan. The villain stood in the center of a mystical circle, one armored hand resting on a control panel, the other raised in arcane gesture. The Fantastic Four hung suspended behind him in separate containment fields. "You've brought friends. How?" "Predictable." "Let them go, Doom," Goku said, no smile now, all business. "This is between you and us." "Is it?" Doom's mask tilted. "Your presence here is the excuse, not the cause. I've been planning this for months. The fall of the Fantastic Four, the subjugation of New York's hero community, the demonstration of Latveria's superiority. Your arrival simply accelerated the timeline, while making you look like the reasonable one," Gohan said quietly, "offering to solve a problem you're actively exploiting. Intelligent as well as powerful." Doom actually sounded approving. "You would have thrived in Latveria, young Saiyan, but intelligence without pragmatism is merely academic." He moved. For a human, for even an enhanced human, Doom's speed was incredible. armor servos amplified by stolen Kai, mystical enhancements layered over technological augmentation. He crossed 30 feet in a blink, energy blade manifesting in his hand, aimed directly at Goku's throat. Goku blocked it with one finger. The impact sent shockwaves rippling through the building, but Goku had calibrated it perfectly. Enough force to stop Doom, not enough to breach the dimensional barriers. The blade, solid energy that should have cut through steel, bent around Goku's finger like rubber. "That's a neat trick," Goku said conversationally. "But you're holding back. That's not nearly as strong as you could be." "Neither am I." Doom's other hand came up, and suddenly he was holding something that made Strange, monitoring from the shadows, curse. A fragment of the Space Stone. Not a full Infinity Stone. Those were secured by the Avengers and cosmic entities. But a shard, a sliver of power that Doom had somehow acquired. And he was channeling it through his armor, through the stolen Kai, creating a hybrid energy that made reality itself bend. "Do you know what I love about dimensional instability?" Doom asked and teleported. Not instant transmission, that required Kai sensing and precise control. This was space folding, the fundamental fabric of reality bending to Doom's will. He appeared behind Gohan, energy blade descending. Gohan caught it between his palms, but the impact sent him crashing through 3 floors. Goku blurred to intercept, and suddenly the fight was on. While they fought, while Doom demonstrated why he was considered one of Earth's most dangerous minds, using every scan, every observation, every piece of data he'd collected to counter Saiyan combat patterns, the real operation unfolded. Strange's illusion was masterful. Doom still saw the Fantastic Four in their containment fields, still felt his mystical anchors holding them. He had no idea that the real Reed, Sue, and Johnny were being pulled into the mirror dimension, one molecule at a time, while perfect duplicates remained visible to his sensors. Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne, subatomic and invisible to Doom's instruments, found what they were looking for, the armor's central power core. It was a masterwork, layers upon layers of technology and magic, all feeding into the space stone fragment at its heart. That's beyond anything Pym ever built," Scott breathed, even knowing no one could hear him at this size. "Hope, can we even interface with this?" "We don't have to." Hope pointed to a junction, a place where Doom's armor connected to the stolen Kai reserves. "We just have to create an opening. 30 seconds, that's all Stark needs." On the building's exterior, Tony was already moving. He'd stripped down to a specialized infiltration suit. No weapons, no heavy armor, just cutting-edge nanotech designed for one purpose: hacking the unhackable. "JARVIS, you getting the layout from Lang?" "Confirmed, sir. Uploading neural pathway now. But sir, the moment you make contact, Doom will know." "Then we'd better make it count. Rhodey, you in position." War Machine's voice crackled through. "Eyes on target. Say the word and I paint him with every missile I've got." "Negative. Missiles would destabilize the dimensional barriers." Tony watched Goku and Gohan fight, watched them hold back massive power to keep the building and reality intact. "We do this clean." Inside, the battle was escalating. Doom had adapted frighteningly fast. He'd learned to predict Goku's movements by watching micro-expressions, to counter Gohan's Kai blasts with precisely angled spatial warps that redirected the energy harmlessly into pocket dimensions. Every technique the Saiyans used, he had an answer for. "You fight well," Doom acknowledged, blocking a coordinated strike from both warriors. But you fight honestly, directly. It's a weakness. Is it? Goku asked and smiled. That was when everything happened at once. Hope and Scott created their opening, a microscopic gap in Doom's armor integrity. Tony, timing it perfectly, fired a nanotech injection that slipped through the gap and spread through Doom's systems like mercury. Strange dropped the illusion and teleported the real Fantastic Four to safety. And Goku and Gohan, who'd been holding back to sub 1% of their power, stopped. Not stopped fighting, stopped holding back. Just for an instant, just a flash, enough to let Doom see what they could really do. Both Saiyans went Super Saiyan simultaneously, and the sheer pressure of their Kai, even for a fraction of a second, made Doom's sensors scream. The stolen Kai in his armor tried to resonate with it, destabilized, and in that moment of distraction, Tony's nanobots took control. Override accepted, JARVIS said. Doom's armor is locked, power core isolated, space stone fragment contained. Doom fought it, of course. His will alone nearly broke Tony's intrusion, but he was fighting on too many fronts. The armor lockdown, the Saiyan's overwhelming presence, the realization that his hostages were gone. No, Doom's voice carried genuine anger. This is not how this ends. I will not be defeated by teamwork. Steve Rogers walked through the hole Goku had made, shield in hand, backed by the full Avengers roster. Yeah, that's usually how it goes for guys like you. For a long moment, Doom stood frozen in his locked armor, processing the magnitude of his failure. Then, surprisingly, he laughed. Brilliant, truly brilliant. He looked at Goku and Gohan, who'd powered down, breathing hard but uninjured. I accounted for your power. I accounted for the Avengers' tactics. I even accounted for Strange's illusions. But I didn't account for you choosing to fight like them instead of like yourselves. We're heroes, Gohan said simply. That doesn't change based on what universe we're in. Doom nodded slowly. Point taken. But understand this, Saiyans. You've made your choice. You've chosen to integrate with this world rather than stand apart from it. That will have consequences you cannot imagine. Before anyone could respond, alarms erupted. Not from the building, from everywhere. Every shield facility, every Avenger communication device, every mystical ward Strange had set. The dimensional barriers weren't just cracking anymore. They were shattering. And through the breaks, something was coming. Multiple somethings. The Ancient One's voice, strained with effort, echoed across mystical communication channels. The battle released too much energy. The barriers can no longer hold. Brace for. Reality tore open in a dozen places across New York simultaneously. Through one portal came creatures of living shadow, demons from a hell dimension drawn by the scent of Doom's corrupted Kai. Through another, energy beings that existed as pure thought, confused and terrified by suddenly having physical form. Through a third, something that made even Goku hesitate. A ship, massive, organic, alive. And on its bridge, a being whose power signature made the space stone fragment in Doom's armor look like a candle next to the sun. Galactus had noticed Earth. But that wasn't the worst one. The worst portal opened in the sky above Avengers Tower, and through it, in a ship that eclipsed city blocks, came an army. The Black Order, Thanos' elite forces. And behind them, moving with patient inevitability, the Mad Titan himself. He's here, Natasha breathed. Thanos is here. On the Baxter Building's roof, Vegeta looked up at the Mad Titan's ship and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Anticipation. Finally, he said, and began to power up. Across the city, the Ancient One pulled every reserve of power she had, trying to hold the barriers together even as they came apart. Strange joined her, and every sorcerer at Camertage, weaving spells that bought seconds at the cost of years of their lives. And in space, something else watched. The Grand Priest of Universe 7 had finally noticed where his missing Saiyans had gone. He observed the dimensional catastrophe unfolding, calculated the probability of universal collapse, and made a decision. He sent a message. Goku felt it first, a familiar energy signature, impossibly far away but growing closer. His eyes widened. No way, that's wise. The angel. Gohan looked at his father in alarm. Dad, if the angels are getting involved, that means the gods of destruction are probably paying attention too, Piccolo finished grimly. The convergence had begun. Two universes colliding, heroes from both sides scrambling to respond, and in the chaos, cosmic forces that should never have met preparing to clash. Doom, still locked in his armor, watched it all unfold and laughed again. Do you see now, Avengers? This is what happens when you try to play at cosmic stakes with mortal understanding. You wanted to protect them. He gestured at Goku and Gohan. You've doomed us all. Or, Tony said, powering up his armor despite the dimensional stress it would cause, we've got a chance to save everyone. Doom, you're coming with us. Your tech, our strategy, and enough cosmic-level fighters to actually stand a chance. You want my help? Doom actually sounded surprised. We want everyone's help, Steve said and looked at Goku. No more holding back, no more restraint. The barriers are falling anyway, so we use everything we've got. Goku met his eyes and nodded. All right then. He cracked his knuckles, golden aura beginning to flare. Let's show them what Earth's heroes can do, both Earths. The sky bled realities, armies assembled, cosmic forces converged. And in that moment, before the true war began, two groups of heroes, from universes that should never have met, stood together. The real battle was about to start. The sky was wrong. New York's skyline, usually defined by steel and glass reaching toward clouds, now framed portals to a dozen different realities. Through one, citizens could see a burning wasteland where an alternate Earth had fallen. Through another, a paradise world untouched by conflict. Through a third, something that hurt to look at directly, geometries that violated three-dimensional space, colors that didn't exist in Earth's spectrum. And descending through the largest portal, blotting out the sun, came Thanos' flagship sanctuary, II. On the street below, chaos reigned. S.H.I.E.L.D. was evacuating civilians as fast as they could, but where do you evacuate to when dimensional portals are opening randomly? Penn Station became a refugee center. Central Park transformed into a triage zone, and in Times Square, the Avengers assembled alongside warriors from another universe. JARVIS, tactical assessment, Tony said, his armor's HUD painting targets faster than he could process them. Sanctuary II is deploying drop pods, estimated 60,000 Outriders, 200 Chitauri Leviathans, and the full Black Order. Additionally, dimensional breaches are releasing unidentified hostiles at 12 separate locations. And sir, the AI paused. Galactus has achieved low orbit. He's studying Earth, deciding whether we're worth consuming. Wonderful. A cosmic buffet with us as the main course. Tony turned to the assembled heroes. Okay, people, we're outnumbered 1,000 to 1, fighting on multiple fronts against enemies from at least 4 different realities, and we've got maybe an hour before the dimensional barriers collapse entirely and take both universes with them. Anyone got good news?" "I do," Goku raised his hand like an eager student. "Whis is here. He's an angel, super powerful, usually really helpful, if we can get his attention." A pillar of divine light descended from the sky, touching down in Central Park with such precision that it didn't disturb a single blade of grass. When it faded, two figures stood there. Whis, the angel of Universe 7, looked exactly as he always did: purple skin, white hair styled into a neat updo, ornate robes, and carrying his signature staff. His expression was pleasantly curious, as if he'd stumbled upon an interesting physics experiment rather than a multiversal catastrophe. Beside him stood someone who made every god-tier being in attendance straighten involuntarily. Beerus, god of destruction, looked annoyed. "Goku," the cat-like deity said with dangerous calm, "would you care to explain why I was enjoying a pleasant nap, only to be awakened by the sensation of our universe's dimensional barriers being shredded like wet tissue paper?" "Lord Beerus," Goku scratched his head sheepishly. "Funny story, actually. We had a little accident with the Dragon Balls and ended up in a whole different universe, and then we kinda broke reality a bit, and now two universes are on the verge of catastrophic collapse. The fabric of reality is hemorrhaging entities from at least 17 different dimensions, and a lesser titan is preparing to harvest this planet for resources." Whis tapped his staff, and a holographic display appeared showing the full scope of the disaster. "Did I miss anything?" "The demon army," Piccolo offered, "and the alternate universe Frieza." "Oh good," Beerus said flatly. "Frieza, my day is complete." Thor stepped forward, Mjolnir crackling with lightning. "You claim to be gods of another universe. Prove it." Beerus looked at Thor with the expression of a cat noticing a particularly annoying insect. "Mortal, I have destroyed entire galaxies for less impertinence than—" "Lord Beerus," Whis interrupted smoothly, "perhaps we should focus on the immediate crisis. We can establish proper divine hierarchy after we prevent omniversal collapse." "Fine." Beerus looked at the assembled heroes with barely concealed disdain. "But someone needs to explain why Goku thought it was acceptable to break reality and then not immediately fix it." "We tried," Gohan protested, "but the energy signatures are too complex. We'd need precise calculations, perfect timing, and a power source capable of sealing dimensional barriers while simultaneously repelling a multiversal invasion force." Strange had been silent until now, but he stepped forward with the certainty of a man who'd seen millions of futures and found one that worked. "I've run the calculations. There is exactly one way this succeeds." He gestured, and mystical symbols filled the air, mathematics rendered in light and magic, showing power flows and dimensional harmonics that made Reed Richards' eyes widen with understanding. "You want to use the conflict itself," Reed breathed. "Channel the energy being released by the fighting, filter it through a mystical array, and redirect it to seal the barriers." "Precisely, but it requires perfect synchronization." Strange looked at each hero in turn. "Every attack, every defense, every surge of power must be timed to the microsecond, and it requires enough raw energy output to," he paused, "to equal approximately 1/3 of the Big Bang." Silence. Then Tony laughed, slightly hysterical but genuine. "Of course it does. Why would saving reality be easy?" "I can provide the array," Strange continued. "The Ancient One and every sorcerer at Camertage will anchor it. but we need champions capable of fighting at cosmic levels while maintaining precise control. That's us, Vegeta said, stepping forward. He'd been quiet until now, analyzing the situation with a warrior's tactical mind. Kakarot, myself, Gohan, we can output that kind of power. We've done it before. Not alone, you can't, Whis corrected gently. Even Super Saiyan Blue, which I note Goku hasn't yet revealed to his new friends, would only provide perhaps 60% of the required energy. You'll need assistance. Thor raised Mjolnir, the full power of the All-Father, channeled through Asgardian magic. Would contribute approximately 8%, Whis said apologetically. I appreciate the offer, but you're simply not in the same magnitude category. No offense intended. None taken, Thor muttered, looking slightly deflated. What about Hulk? Bruce asked quietly. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets, if he really cut loose. 12%, Whis said. Impressive for a mortal rage-fueled transformation, but insufficient. Captain Marvel materialized in a flash of light, having arrived from deep space where she'd been responding to the dimensional disturbances. I can channel a white hole's worth of energy. What's that worth? 15%, Whis sounded genuinely pleased. You're quite powerful for this universe. Well done. Carol Danvers, who'd just been essentially pat on the head by an interdimensional entity, looked slightly offended but nodded. Then who? Steve started. Beerus sighed. Me, obviously. A god of destruction operating at even 30% capacity could provide the remaining power, but that presents a problem. What problem? Natasha asked. Gods of destruction destroy, Beerus said simply. It's literally what we do. Our energy is fundamentally destructive. Using it to seal dimensional barriers instead of obliterating them requires. He looked genuinely uncomfortable. Finesse, control, restraint. Things you're not known for, my lord, Whis added cheerfully. Exactly, Beerus crossed his arms. I could easily provide too much power and destroy both universes instead of saving them. What if someone regulated it? Goku asked suddenly. Like, what if you gave me the energy and I filtered it? You're way stronger than me, Lord Beerus, but I'm better at controlling my power output. We proved that during the Tournament of Power. When you mastered Ultra Instinct, yes, Whis mused. But you can't access that state at will, Goku. You've tried repeatedly and failed. So we stacked the deck, Tony said, an idea forming. We've got literal gods, cosmic entities, and the smartest people from 2 universes. We build support systems, amplifiers, regulators. We make this work. Reed was already pulling up holographic schematics. If we combine Stark technology with Wackened and vibranium resonators, powered by the arc reactor array and stabilized by mystical wards, we could create a conduit, a way to channel divine energy through mortal vessels safely. For about 90 seconds before they burn out, Shuri added, her hologram appearing via Kimoyo beads. I've been listening in. The energy levels you're discussing would vaporize any biological system, even enhanced ones. 90 seconds might be enough, Strange said, if we time it perfectly. An explosion rocked the street as a Chitauri Leviathan crashed into a building 3 blocks away. The theorizing time was over. We don't have time to build a perfect solution, Steve said, shifting into command mode. We work with what we have. Dr. Strange, can your array handle imperfect power input? It'll have to. Strange's hands were already moving, mystical circles forming. But someone needs to buy us time. Thanos won't wait patiently while we prepare. "Leave the mad Titan to me," Beerus said, and there was something terrifying in his smile. "I've destroyed countless would-be conquerors. One more won't make a difference." "Lord Beerus," Whis cautioned, "if you engage at full power." "I won't. I'll fight at 10%, just enough to make him take this seriously." Beerus looked at Goku. "You and your friends handle the army. I'll keep Thanos busy. Try not to break any more of reality while I'm gone." He vanished, and 3 seconds later, an explosion in the upper atmosphere marked his collision with Sanctuary II. "Right then," Tony said, watching a god literally headbutt a spaceship. "Teams, we need teams, Cap." Steve Rogers, who'd coordinated the Avengers through apocalypse after apocalypse, looked at the assembled heroes from 2 universes, with powers ranging from peak human to literal divine, and made the call. "Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, you 3 are our heavy hitters. You're fighting the Black Order and anything else at that power level. Keep them away from the civilians and the preparation site. Carol, Thor, your air superiority. Those Leviathans can't be allowed to reach ground level. Coordinate with Falcon and War Machine. Hulk Thing, your ground defense. The Outriders are trying to establish beachheads. Don't let them. Spiderman, your evacuation support with the street-level heroes. Get civilians to safety. Use those webs. Natasha, Clint, Winter Soldier, infiltration. Some of those dimensional portals can be closed manually if someone can reach the anchor points. That's you. Piccolo, Trunks, your wildcards. Go where you're needed most. Adapt and respond. Strange, Reed, Shuri, you're building our miracle. Whatever you need, you get. No questions, no delays. Tony, you're coordinating everything. JARVIS links all communications, gives us real-time tactical updates. And me, Vision asked, phasing into existence beside Wanda. You and Scarlet Witch are our containment team. Those dimensional portals are spitting out entities we can't predict. You 2 have the best chance of neutralizing exotic threats. Steve looked at Doom, still in his locked armor under shield guard. And you're our insurance policy. You wanted to prove Latveria's superiority. Here's your chance. Help us save 2 universes or watch them both die. For a long moment, Doom said nothing. Then his armor unlocked, Tony's override released by JARVIS on Doom's command authorization somehow, and he stepped forward. You offer me redemption through cooperation. How? American. But he was already pulling up his own holographic displays, brilliant mind analyzing the dimensional crisis. Very well. But when this is over, we will discuss proper compensation for my services. When this is over, you're going to jail, Steve said flatly. But you'll have saved 2 universes doing it. Doom actually smiled behind his mask. Acceptable terms. The plan was set. The teams formed. And as if reality itself had been waiting for them to be ready, the invasion forces attacked in earnest. The Black Order struck first. Corvus Glaive, wielding a blade that could cut through anything, teleported directly into Times Square and aimed for Peter Parker, the youngest, most vulnerable-looking hero. He never connected. Vegeta caught the blade between 2 fingers, his Super Saiyan aura blazing gold around him. Picking on children, pathetic. He moved, not even 1/10 of his full speed, and Corvus Glaive went through 7 buildings before skidding to a stop in the Hudson River. Vegeta, wait, Goku called. We need to coordinate the energy output, Strange said. I know what he said, Kakarot. Vegeta's power surged higher, golden lightning crackling. I'm not an idiot. Super Saiyan only, precise control, synchronized with the mystical array. But that doesn't mean I have to be gentle. Proxima Midnight came next, her spear moving faster than sound. Gohan intercepted it, now in his mystic form, white aura blazing. The impact created a shockwave that shattered windows across Manhattan, but, critically, didn't tear any dimensional barriers. Impressive control, Wise observed from where he watched the battle. He was maintaining a protective bubble around Strange's preparation site, ensuring nothing interrupted the delicate mystical work. They've learned to fight at cosmic levels while maintaining planetary safety parameters. Most mortals never manage that. In the sky, Thor and Captain Marvel worked in perfect synchronization. She'd channel stellar energy into concentrated beams. He'd redirect them with Mjolnir, creating a lattice of light that carved through leviathans like paper. "Your power is impressive, Captain," Thor called out as they executed another combination attack. "Right back at you, Sparkles," Carol grinned. "Though I gotta say, the guys from the other universe are making us look like amateurs." Below them, Goku was fighting Obsidian, the massive enforcer of the Black Order, and giving a master class in controlled combat. Every punch was calculated to deliver exactly enough force to damage Obsidian's armor without creating shockwaves that would endanger civilians. Every Kai blast was precisely angled to dissipate safely in the upper atmosphere. It was like watching a surgeon perform operation with a sledgehammer. "You're strong," Goku said, blocking a hammer blow that would have leveled a building. "Way stronger than most of Thanos' soldiers. Have you been training?" Obsidian, who had not expected friendly conversation mid-battle, actually hesitated. In that moment of confusion, Goku struck, a palm strike to the chest that sent the enforcer flying toward the dimensional portal he'd emerged from, unconscious but alive. "One down," Peter called out from where he was webbing up Outriders by the dozen. "Though I gotta say, Mr. Goku, did you just ask the evil alien monster about his workout routine?" "He was tough. I wanted to know how he got that strong." Goku deflected another enemy attack, sent them flying, then caught a falling piece of building debris before it could hit a fleeing civilian. "Is that weird?" "Little bit." Peter webbed 3 more Outriders together, "but also very on brand for you." At the preparation site, Strange was conducting power flows like a maestro conducting an orchestra. Every surge of energy from the battle, Vegeta's Kai blasts, Thor's lightning, Carol's photon beams, even the death throes of defeated leviathans, was being captured, filtered, and woven into the mystical array. 60%, he reported through gritted teeth. "We need more. The barriers are degrading faster than anticipated." "On it," Reed Richards said, his elastic fingers manipulating technology that shouldn't exist. Stark repulsors modified to channel Kai. Wackened and stabilizers recalibrated for divine energy. And at the center, a conduit that would either save both universes or destroy them trying. "Shuri, how's the resonance pattern?" "Matching the dimensional frequency at 94% accuracy," she reported from Wakanda, where she was coordinating her nation's mystical defenses. "But Steven's right, we're running out of time. The barriers will achieve critical failure in 17 minutes. Above Manhattan, Beerus and Thanos clashed. The god of destruction had been true to his word, fighting at only a fraction of his power. But even that fraction was enough to give the mad Titan pause. "You are not of this universe," Thanos observed, his expression thoughtful despite the violence of their exchange. "You're from the same reality as the Saiyans." Observant for a mortal, Beerus deflected an energy blast that would have cracked a moon. Tell me something, Titan. Do you understand what you've done? The dimensional barriers you're exploiting, they exist for a reason. Things should not cross between universes. The multiverse maintains separation to prevent exactly this scenario. Separation is inefficient. Thanos caught one of Beerus's attacks and the strain showed on his face. Each universe suffers its own overpopulation, resource depletion, entropy. But with access to the multiverse, true balance becomes possible. Balance? Beerus laughed, and there was genuine amusement in it. You destroy half of all life in the name of balance, yet you've never understood what true balance requires. I am a god of destruction. I have ended civilizations, planets, entire solar systems. Do you know why? Madness, power, Thanos suggested. Creation. Beerus's next attack was faster, harder. Destruction and creation are two sides of the same coin. I destroy so that new life can flourish. You destroy because you cannot imagine another solution. We are not the same. Thanos pulled out the space stone fragment, the same one Doom had been using. Then let me show you what true power. Beerus flicked the fragment, and it shattered into constituent atoms. I've destroyed infinity stones before, Titan. In my universe, they're less significant than you'd imagine. Beerus's energy shifted, and for just a moment, Thanos glimpsed what 10% of a god of destruction truly meant. Surrender. Withdraw your forces. I have no interest in destroying you, but I will if you force me to waste the energy. Thanos considered this for exactly 3 seconds. Then he smiled. Acceptable, but only because you've given me what I truly came for. He activated a device, something Reed would later identify as a dimensional anchor, and the portals across New York suddenly stabilized, stopped expanding, began to close. What? Beerus started. I needed to see it, the power required to seal dimensional barriers from an external attack. The precise energy signatures, the mystical harmonics, the technological principles. Thanos' smile widened. Now I know it's possible. Now I know how to do it. That knowledge is worth more than any conquest. He teleported away, taking his army with him in a surge of space stone energy. The Black Order, the Outriders, the Leviathans, all vanished in coordinated precision that spoke to countless battles and tactical retreats. In 5 seconds, the invasion was over. Did he just? Tony couldn't finish the sentence. He used us as an experiment, Doom said, grudging respect in his voice. The entire invasion was a data-gathering operation. He lost resources, yes, but gained knowledge of how to manipulate dimensional barriers. In the cosmic long game, he won. Except for one thing, Strange said, his hands still moving through mystical patterns. He gave us the time we needed. The portals stabilizing bought us precious minutes. The array is complete. Reed nodded. Conduit is ready. We just need the power source. All eyes turned to Goku. The Saiyan warrior stood in the center of Times Square, surrounded by defeated enemies and saved civilians, golden aura blazing. He met Strange's eyes and nodded. I'm ready, tell me what to do. Stand in the center of the array, Strange instructed. Beerus will channel his destructive energy through you. You'll filter it, control it, and release it in the precise pattern I've calculated. If you release too much, both universes collapse. Too little and the barriers won't seal. It must be exact. No pressure or anything, Peter muttered. Goku walked to the array's center, a mystical circle 50 feet in diameter, carved into the street itself with light and magic. Vegeta and Gohan stood at his sides, ready to support if needed. "Kakarot," Vegeta said quietly, "don't you dare fail at this. I refuse to die in an alternate universe because you couldn't maintain focus." "Thanks for the vote of confidence, Vegeta," Goku grinned. Then more seriously, "But I won't fail. Too many people are counting on us." Beerus descended, divine energy crackling around him. "Goku, I'm going to give you access to more power than you've ever channeled before, even more than when you achieved Ultra Instinct. Your body may not survive the process." "It will," Goku said with absolute certainty, "because it has to." The god of destruction placed a hand on Goku's shoulder, and energy began to flow. It was like drinking a star, like being crushed under the weight of a galaxy, like every cell in his body was simultaneously burning and freezing and being torn apart and rebuilt. Goku screamed, but he didn't let go. The golden aura of Super Saiyan flared brighter, then shifted, silver hair, silver eyes, impossible calm. Ultra instinct achieved not through combat but through absolute necessity. Impossible, Wise breathed. He's adapted, used the pressure to force the transformation. The energy flowing through Goku would have vaporized planets. Strange's array captured it, refined it, directed it. Every hero who'd fought, every drop of power expended in the battle, all of it fed into the mystical working. The dimensional barriers began to heal. Across 17 different breach points, reality knit itself back together. Portals collapsed, fractures sealed. The bleeding between universes slowed, stopped, reversed. It took 93 seconds. Goku held the power for 93 seconds, walking the razor's edge between too much and too little, maintaining perfect control while channeling enough energy to remake galaxies. When it was over, when the last barrier sealed with a sound like the universe sighing in relief, Goku collapsed. Gohan caught him before he hit the ground. "Dad, Dad." Goku's eyes flickered open, normal black now, Ultra Instinct faded. Did it work?" "It worked," Strange confirmed, his own voice shaking with exhaustion. Every sorcerer at Kamar-Taj had pushed themselves to their limits. The barriers are sealed. Both universes are stable. Cheers erupted across New York, heroes and civilians alike, celebrating survival against impossible odds. But Wise was studying his staff with a concerned expression. "The barriers are sealed, yes, but I'm afraid there's a complication." The celebration quieted. "What complication?" Steve asked carefully. When Goku channeled Lord Beerus's energy, he created a unique resonance pattern, one that permanently linked these two universes at a quantum level. Wise tapped his staff, showing the mathematical proof. They're no longer completely separate realities. They're entangled. "Meaning?" Tony asked, though he suspected he knew. "Meaning the Dragon Ball universe and the Marvel universe are now permanently connected," Reed said, understanding dawning. "Travel between them will be easier. Events in one will echo in the other. They're distinct realities, but no longer truly independent." Silence. Then Goku, still being supported by Gohan, smiled. "So we can visit, like come back here and hang out with you guys." Despite everything, the battle, the cosmic stakes, the near-apocalypse, Peter Parker laughed. "Mr. Goku, I think you just became the first interdimensional tourist." "That is not the point," Reed started. "Actually," Strange interrupted, "it might be exactly the point. Two universes permanently linked. If we manage this correctly, we could learn from each other, share knowledge, resources, tactical information." And if we manage it incorrectly? Natasha asked. Then we've created a permanent weak point that entities like Thanos can exploit, Doom said flatly. He'd been silent during the final battle, analyzing, calculating. This is not a victory. It's a complication waiting to destroy both universes. Or, Steve said, walking forward to stand beside Goku, it's a chance to be better together than we could be apart. We just saved both universes because we worked together. Heroes from different realities with different powers, different perspectives, all fighting for the same thing. He extended his hand to Goku. Welcome to Earth 616, Goku. Anytime you need us, anytime your universe faces something you can't handle alone, you call. We'll be there. Goku took his hand, grinning despite his exhaustion. Same goes for you, Captain. If your Earth ever needs extra help, we're just a dimensional portal away. As the sun set over a saved New York, as cleanup began and heroes dispersed to their respective duties, as two universes began the long process of understanding what permanent entanglement meant, one truth became clear. The multiverse had changed, and in that change there was hope. 2 weeks later, Avengers Tower had become something unprecedented, an interdimensional embassy. The top 3 floors had been converted into what Tony called the Dimensional Interface Zone, a space where heroes from Universe 7 could safely interact with Earth 616 without causing spatial distortions. Bulma had arrived through the newly stabilized portal with a team of Capsule Corp engineers, and within days had upgraded JARVIS's processing power by 300%, while simultaneously giving Tony Stark an inferiority complex. It's not that your technology is primitive, she explained cheerfully while Tony watched her install a Kai-powered reactor that defied his understanding of thermodynamics. It's just focused differently. You've advanced incredibly far with electromagnetic principles, but you've completely ignored biological energy matrices. Because those don't exist in our universe, Tony muttered. They do now. She activated the reactor, and every instrument in the tower's lab registered a power source that was somehow both infinite and perfectly stable. C. Cross-universal collaboration. In the training room, Steve Rogers was sparring with Gohan, or trying to. The young half-Saiyan had powered down to a level where Steve could actually participate, and was using the opportunity to learn Earth 616's tactical combat styles. Your technique is incredible, Gohan said, blocking a shield strike that would have knocked out a normal opponent. You're not even enhanced beyond peak human, but you fight like someone 10 times stronger. Strategy over strength, Steve explained, demonstrating a joint lock that would work even on a super-powered opponent. Though I'll admit, against someone who can destroy planets, strategy only goes so far. You'd be surprised. Gohan helped Steve up after a successful throw. Some of our worst enemies weren't the strongest, they were the smartest, the ones who thought 3 steps ahead. In the common area, Peter Parker was having the time of his life. Goku had agreed to teach him basic Kai control, and while Peter couldn't generate energy blasts, his universe didn't work that way. He'd learned to sense the life force of people around him. "This is so cool," Peter exclaimed, eyes closed, feeling the different energy signatures throughout the tower. "I can sense you, Mr. Goku and Mr. Stark in the lab and Captain Rogers training. And wait, there's something weird in the basement." "That's probably Vegeta," Goku said. "He's been sulking down there since the battle ended." "Why's he sulking? We won." "Because he didn't get to fight Thanos himself," Goku shrugged. "Vegeta's competitive like that, Also, I think he's mad that I achieved Ultra Instinct again and he still can't. Indeed, in the tower's sub-basement training facility, reinforced with Wackened and Vibranium, Asgardian enchantments, and hastily installed dimensional stabilizers, Vegeta was pushing himself through transformations with singular focus. Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, which he rarely used due to its energy drain, then Super Saiyan God, his hair shifting from gold to red, and finally Super Saiyan Blue, the combination of godly Kai and Saiyan power that made the stabilizers scream warnings. Not enough, Vegeta growled, powering down with frustration. Kakarot achieved a level beyond even this, and I'm stuck here in this foreign universe, unable to surpass. You could just ask for help, you know. Vegeta spun to find Thor standing in the doorway, Mjolnir resting casually on his shoulder. I don't need help from someone who understands pride, Thor interrupted. Prince Vegeta, I am the god of thunder, son of Odin, heir to the throne of Asgard. I spent centuries believing I needed to be the strongest, the most powerful, the most worthy. Do you know what I learned? Enlighten me, Vegeta said dryly. That strength shared is strength multiplied. Thor walked into the training room and lightning began to dance across his form. You're frustrated because Goku achieved Ultra Instinct through necessity and you haven't. But perhaps you're approaching this wrong. Perhaps the power you need isn't about transcending, it's about accepting. Accepting what? That you're already enough. Thor set Mjolnir down and the hammer's impact cracked the reinforced floor. You fought alongside gods and held your own. You helped save 2 universes. You are, by any objective measure, one of the most powerful beings in either reality. The only person telling you that's not enough is you. Vegeta was silent for a long moment. Then, you're surprisingly insightful for someone who dresses like a circus performer. Thor laughed, genuine and booming. And you're surprisingly insecure for someone who claims to be a prince. We should spar sometime, properly. No holding back, full power, consequences be damned. The dimensional barriers are stable now. Strange confirmed it. A few Asgardian Saiyan power releases won't tear reality apart. Thor's smile turned challenging. Unless you're afraid I might actually land a hit. Vegeta's answering grin was pure Saiyan battle lust. Name the time and place, Thunder God. Upstairs, a more serious meeting was taking place. Nick Fury stood before a holographic display showing representatives from the United Nations, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and, via interdimensional link, King Kai from Universe 7. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, one UN representative said, her tone carefully neutral. You're proposing a formal alliance between Earth 616 and Universe 7, a mutual defense pact across dimensional boundaries. Not just defense, Reed Richards explained, pulling up data streams. Scientific exchange, cultural understanding, tactical coordination. The universes are entangled now, that's not changing. We can either manage that relationship deliberately or let it evolve chaotically. And you trust these, Saiyans, another representative less carefully neutral, beings who casually admit to destroying planets. I trust, Steve Rogers said quietly, that they risked everything to save our universe when they could have just left. I trust that they fought with restraint and precision when using their full power would have been easier. And I trust that in 2 weeks of living among us, they've done nothing but try to help. Plus, Tony added, Bulma's upgraded our reactor technology to the point where we can now power the entire eastern seaboard without fossil fuels. That bought them some goodwill. King Kai's voice echoed through the dimensional link. People of Earth 616, I understand your concern. The Saiyans are warriors, it's in their nature. But Goku and his friends have spent years protecting their Earth from threats you can't imagine. Gods, demons, universe-destroying entities. They're heroes, even if they're not always conventional ones. What about oversight? Fury asked. If they're going to have access to our universe, we need protocols, communication channels, rules of engagement. Agreed, Piccolo said, speaking for the first time. The Namekian had been standing silently in the corner, but now he stepped forward. We propose this. Any Z-fighter visiting Earth 616 checks in with the Avengers. Any mission that might involve combat is coordinated through your tactical command. And in exchange, if our universe faces a threat that requires your unique expertise, we extend the same courtesy. You'd submit to our authority. The UN representative sounded skeptical. We'd work with asterisk your authority, Gohan corrected gently. There's a difference. We're not looking to conquer or control. We just want to help, and sometimes learn from you. Natasha, who'd been reviewing psychological profiles, spoke up. I've spent 2 weeks observing them, running every analysis S.H.I.E.L.D. has. You want to know what I found? They're exactly what they claim to be, warriors with good hearts who are way out of their depth in political situations, which, honestly, makes them more trustworthy than half the enhanced individuals we work with. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement, Fury muttered. It's the truth, Natasha met his eye. They're not playing games, Nick. They don't have hidden agendas. Goku genuinely just wants to eat good food and fight strong opponents. Vegeta wants to prove he's the strongest. Gohan wants to study and protect people. There. Simple, in a refreshing way. The debate continued for another hour, but the conclusion was inevitable. The universes were entangled. The Z-fighters had proven themselves, and the potential benefits, scientific, tactical, cultural, outweighed the risks. The Multiversal Defense Initiative was born. 3 days later, in a ceremony that was simultaneously held in New York and on the lookout in Universe 7, the formal alliance was signed. Goku, who'd been asked to say a few words, stood before cameras broadcasting to both universes and did what he always did, spoke from the heart. I'm not good at speeches, he started, scratching his head with that characteristic gesture everyone had come to recognize. Back home, we usually just fight first and talk later, but I wanted to say, thank you. When we crashed into your universe, you had every reason to treat us like invaders. Instead, you gave us a chance. You trusted us. And when things got really bad, you fought alongside us like we were friends you'd known for years. He looked at Steve, at Tony, at Peter, and the other Avengers. I've fought a lot of battles, saved my Earth a bunch of times, but this was different. This was about saving 2 worlds, not just one, and we couldn't have done it without you. Goku's expression turned serious. The bad guys are gonna notice this, you know. Thanos already did. There are probably others, beings from other universes, other realities, who will see our alliance and want to break it, or exploit it, or use it for their own plans. He grinned. But that's okay, because now when they come, they'll have to face heroes from 2 universes, and I don't care how strong they are, that's gonna be one heck of a fight. The applause was genuine, spanning dimensions. Later that evening, on the tower's observation deck, the core team gathered, a mix of Avengers and Z-fighters who'd become something more than allies over the past 2 weeks. So what now? Peter asked, looking out at the New York skyline. Do you guys go home, stay here? How does this even work? Most of us go home, Gohan said. We've got lives there, families, responsibilities, but we'll visit, and if you ever need us. We're a portal away, Goku finished. Literally, Bulma and Tony built this thing. He pulled out a small device that looked like a combination of Capsule Corp tech and Stark innovation. That lets us open stable dimensional doorways, as long as we don't overuse it and stress the barriers. Define overuse, Tony said suspiciously. Bulma said no more than once a day, Goku said cheerfully. Which is fine. I'll come visit for pizza, spar with some of you guys, maybe check out more of your Earth. You've got so many cool places. And when we're not visiting, Vegeta added, you're welcome in our universe, assuming you can handle the power levels. Some of our routine threats would be Avengers-level emergencies here. That's not ominous at all, Clint muttered. Strange had been quiet, but now he spoke. There's something else we need to discuss. The Ancient One and I have been monitoring the dimensional entanglement. It's stable, but it's also evolving. Evolving how? Bruce asked. Creating resonances, attracting attention. Strange pulled up a mystical display showing probability threads. Thanos was the first to notice, but he won't be the last. The fact that two universes are permanently linked is going to draw cosmic entities like moths to flame. Beings who want to study it, Reed added, exploit it, or destroy it to maintain multiversal stability. So we're basically a target, Natasha summarized. We're an opportunity, Steve corrected. Yes, threats will come, but we'll face them together. That's what this alliance means. Piccolo nodded. In our universe, we have the Dragon Balls, wish-granting artifacts that can bring people back from the dead, restore planets, undo catastrophes. If your Earth ever faces something truly apocalyptic, we can wish it away, Tony's eyes lit up. Wait, are there limitations? Can't wish someone back more than once unless you use Name's Dragon Balls, Goku explained. Can't wish away someone stronger than the dragon. Can't make someone fall in love. Rules like that. Still, that's an incredible safety net, Bruce said, though I hope we never need it. Same, Gohan agreed, but it's there if you do. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. Two groups of heroes from different realities, now bound together by circumstance and choice. You know what's weird? Peter said suddenly. 2 weeks ago, I was just friendly neighborhood Spiderman, worried about making rent and passing my classes. Now I'm part of an interdimensional alliance with guys who can blow up planets. My life is so weird. Could be weirder, Goku said. You could be married to Chichai. I heard that, Gohan said, but he was smiling. Speaking of which, Vegeta said, we should return home soon. The wives are going to want proof we're alive, and explanations for why we disappeared for 2 weeks. Oh man, Goku's face went pale in a way that fighting gods never made it. Chichai is gonna be so mad. Do you think she'll fell into another dimension? Given your track record, probably, Piccolo said dryly. As the Z-Fighters prepared to depart, saying their goodbyes and making plans for future visits, Tony pulled Goku aside. Hey, I wanted to say, thanks, not just for the help with Thanos and the dimensional crisis, but for reminding us what being a hero looks like. Goku looked genuinely confused. What do you mean? You guys are heroes, you save people all the time. Yeah, but we get caught up in politics, public perception, government oversight, moral complexity. You just help people. It's simple for you. Direct. Tony smiled beneath the faceplate. We needed that reminder. That sometimes being a hero doesn't require an ethics committee and a risk assessment. Sometimes it's just doing the right thing because it's right. Well, yeah, Goku said as if it was obvious. What else would you do? And that, Tony reflected, was exactly the point. The portal home opened in the tower's dimensional interface room, a stable doorway showing the familiar Earth of Universe 7, the lookout visible in the distance. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and Trunks stood before it, ready to return. Until next time, Steve said, extending his hand. Goku took it, then pulled the super soldier into a hug that would have crushed a normal human. Next time, I'll bring Chichai's cooking. You guys have great food, but wait until you try her recipes. Looking forward to it, Steve wheezed, grateful for the super soldier serum's enhanced durability. Vegeta nodded to Thor. Next month, full power sparring match. Don't disappoint me, Thunder God. I wouldn't dream of it, Prince of Saiyans, Thor grinned. Gohan shook hands with Peter. Keep practicing the Kai sensing. You've got real potential. Will do, Mr. Gohan. And hey, if you ever want help with homework from another dimension, I'm pretty good at science. I might take you up on that, Gohan laughed. Piccolo clasped forearms with Strange. Your mystical tradition is fascinating, very different from Namekian magic. Perhaps we could arrange an exchange program, Strange suggested. Wang has been curious about your people's abilities. I'll discuss it with the Namekian elders. As they stepped through the portal, as the doorway between universes shimmered and stabilized, as two groups of heroes waved goodbye knowing they'd see each other again soon, something fundamental had changed in both realities. The multiverse was no longer a collection of isolated universes, each unaware of the others. Now, at least for two of them, the walls had come down. And in the days and weeks that followed, that change rippled outward. Spider-Man found himself instinctively sensing danger more precisely, his spider sense enhanced by rudimentary Kai awareness. The Avengers updated their threat assessment protocols to include dimensional incursions. S.H.I.E.L.D. established a multiversal relations department, with Agent Hill reluctantly accepting the role of director. In Universe 7, the Z-Fighters shared stories of their adventure, inspiring a new generation of martial artists to push their limits. Bulma's technology advanced by leaps as she incorporated principles learned from Tony and Reed. And somewhere, somehow, the knowledge that other universes existed, that they weren't alone in the infinite multiverse, changed how people saw themselves. But not everyone was happy about these changes. In the dark spaces between dimensions, entities that had existed since before time began notice the linkage. Some were curious, some were opportunistic, and some were afraid. In a realm of shadows that existed outside conventional reality, a council convened. Beings of pure thought, older than galaxies, gathered to discuss the problem. Two universes, permanently entangled, one said, its voice like grinding stone. This cannot be allowed to stand. The precedent alone could destabilize the entire multiversal structure. The mortals don't understand what they've done, another agreed, its form shifting through impossible geometries. They see cooperation and alliance. They don't see the cracks forming in the walls between realities. Should we intervene, sever the connection by force? A moment of consideration, then. No, not yet. Let us observe. If the connection remains stable, perhaps our concerns are unfounded. But if it spreads, if other universes begin forming similar linkages, we will act. And if we must act, Then we do what we have always done. We maintain the cosmic order, even if it means destroying what the mortals have built. The council dissolved, returning to their eternal vigil over the multiverse's boundaries. They would watch, they would wait, and they would remember. But none of this touched the heroes who'd fought so hard to forge their alliance. In New York, life returned to normal, or as normal as it ever got. The dimensional scars healed, the city rebuilt, and occasionally a orange and blue-clad warrior would appear, looking for pizza and friendly sparring. 3 months after the initial crisis, Steve Rogers stood on the tower's observation deck with Tony, watching the sunset paint the skyline gold. "Think we did the right thing?" Tony asked, opening the door between universes, all the unknowns that come with it. Steve thought about Goku's simple heroism, Vegeta's fierce pride, Gohan's gentle strength. He thought about how they'd fought together, bled together, saved 2 realities together. "Yeah," he said finally, "I think we did." Even knowing what's probably coming. The cosmic entities, the multiversal threats, the consequences we can't predict. Especially then, Steve smiled, because when those threats come, we won't face them alone. In the distance, a portal flickered open, just for a moment. Through it, they could hear laughter, feel an energy signature that was becoming familiar. Goku visiting again. Probably looking for food. Definitely ready to help if needed. And in the end, wasn't that what heroism was really about? Being there, being ready, being willing to help regardless of what universe you called home. The sky bled gold, then purple, then star-filled darkness. 2 universes permanently linked. Infinite possibilities awaiting. And heroes standing ready to face whatever came next. Together, the story of how Dragon Ball Z entered the Marvel Universe was never meant to be simple. 2 realities, operating under fundamentally different laws, colliding in catastrophe and forging something new from the chaos. Goku and the Z-Fighters arrived as refugees, dimensional castaways torn from their home by an accident of cosmic proportions. They could have been threats, beings of planet-destroying power with no allegiance to Earth 616's rules or society. Every tactical assessment suggested containment, careful observation, measured response. Instead, they became friends. Not through grand speeches or formal treaties, though those came later, but through simple moments. Goku sharing sandwiches with Tony Stark while discussing energy physics. Vegeta grudgingly respecting Captain America's tactical mind. Gohan bonding with Peter Parker over the shared experience of trying to balance power with responsibility. Piccolo and Doctor Strange finding common ground in mystical philosophy. They proved that heroism isn't defined by what universe you're from. It's defined by choices, by standing up when you could run, by fighting carefully when unleashing full power would be easier, by choosing to protect people who aren't your responsibility simply because it's right. The dimensional crisis that followed their arrival, the demons, the invasions, the near collapse of reality itself, was just the beginning. Thanos' opportunistic exploitation of the chaos, Doom's manipulative genius, the cosmic forces that saw Earth as nothing more than an experiment. Each threat demanded more than any single universe's heroes could provide. But together, operating with trust earned through shared struggle, they achieved the impossible. They sealed dimensional barriers while fighting a multiversal war. They channeled divine energy without destroying the world. They turned what should have been humanity's end into its greatest triumph. and they did it by recognizing a truth that transcends dimensions. Strength shared is strength multiplied. The Marvel Universe was forever changed by Universe 7's touch, not just technologically, though Bulma's Kai reactors would revolutionize energy production for generations, but philosophically. The Avengers, who'd grown cynical through years of complicated moral choices, remembered what simple heroism looked like. S.H.I.E.L.D. learned that not every enhanced individual needed oversight and control. The world learned that even planet-destroying warriors could choose gentleness. Universe 7 changed too. The Z-Fighters, used to being the only line of defense against cosmic threats, discovered the value of teamwork beyond their small circle. They learned that heroes came in all power levels, that a baseline human with a shield could be just as valuable as a Super Saiyan. They saw that Earth 616's complicated approach to heroism, all its politics and oversight and moral debate, existed for good reasons. Both universes learned that they were stronger together than apart. But the story doesn't end with the dimensional barriers sealed and alliances forged. The entanglement of two universes created ripples that would echo across the multiverse for years to come. Cosmic entities noticed, ancient beings stirred, and in the shadows between realities, things that should never exist began plotting. Thanos escaped with knowledge of dimensional manipulation. Doom remained free, his brilliant mind already working on applications for what he'd learned. The Frieza from the parallel timeline, briefly glimpsed during the crisis, was still out there somewhere. And beyond them, beings like the Living Tribunal, the Beyonders, and entities without names watched this unprecedented linkage with inscrutable intent. The Z-Fighters would return to Earth 616 many times. For battles, certainly, there would always be threats that required their overwhelming power, but also for friendship, for learning, for the simple joy of experiencing a different reality's wonders. Goku would become a regular presence in New York, his orange gi as recognizable as Spider-Man's costume. He'd help the Avengers with threats both cosmic and mundane, always approaching each battle with the same infectious enthusiasm. He'd achieve new forms, push new limits, and drag Thor, Captain Marvel, and anyone else who'd spar with him to ever greater heights. Vegeta would find unexpected kinship with Earth 616's anti-heroes, complex individuals who struggled with their darker impulses, but chose heroism anyway. His eventual friendship with the Winter Soldier would surprise everyone, including himself. Gohan would split his time between universes, pursuing scholarship in both. His papers on cross-dimensional energy theory would win awards in Universe 7 and Earth 616 alike, and his gentle nature would help bridge the gap between the two realities' very different approaches to power. Piccolo would work with Strange to establish formal mystical exchange programs, leading to breakthroughs in both universes' understanding of magic and Kai. The Namekian's stern wisdom would balance the Sorcerer Supreme's sometimes reckless brilliance. And when the next crisis came, and it would come, because it always did, the response would be coordinated across dimensions. The Multiversal Defense Initiative would face threats that neither universe could handle alone, and would triumph through the same cooperation that saved them the first time. But beyond the battles and the cosmic stakes, the greatest change was simpler. Two realities learned they weren't alone. In the infinite multiverse, filled with countless versions of countless Earths, two had found each other, had fought together, had chosen to remain connected despite the risks. And in that choice, they'd created something unprecedented. Not just an alliance, a friendship between universes. The dimensional barriers remained stable, carefully maintained by Strange and the Ancient One on one side, Wise and the Kais on the other. The portals opened when needed, bringing heroes together for battles and visits alike. And slowly, carefully, both realities began to understand what it meant to be part of something larger than themselves. Children in both universes grew up knowing that heroes came in forms they'd never imagined. That strength could be channeled through Kai or cosmic power, magic or technology, and all were valid. That the universe, the multiverse, was bigger and stranger and more wonderful than anyone had dreamed. And sometimes, on quiet nights when the battles were done and the city slept, Goku would stand on Avengers Tower's observation deck with Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, looking at stars that were the same in both universes, and smile. "Thanks for taking us in," he'd say. "When we first crashed here, I was scared we'd never get home. Now I know we've got two homes, two Earths to protect." "Three, technically," Tony would correct. "Your Earth, our Earth, and the space in between where they overlap." "That's deep, Stark," Steve would say. "I have my moments." And they'd stand together, heroes from different realities, friends forged in dimensional fire, and know that whatever came next, they'd face it the same way they'd faced everything else. Together, the multiverse was vast, infinite, filled with dangers and wonders beyond imagination. But two tiny corners of it had found each other. And that made all the difference. May your universe find its allies. More stories await.